Obviously, Elon is incredibly obsessed with getting to Mars. As you followed him to write the original book, and now you've continued to kind of pay attention to what SpaceX and Elon has done, what's changed? Is there changes to the mission? Is there changes to Elon personally? What are you seeing as the years go on?
Yeah, the big mission is still there. He is obsessed with setting up this human colony on Mars. He's always thought humans need a backup plan. SpaceX's business itself has kind of changed in some ways. He always said, it was meant to be sort of build a business to get to Mars. And I guess that holds true still. But, he used to say he's not a moon person. Now SpaceX is doing missions to the moon. Starlink, the space internet system, is like this massive part of the business that kind of just arrived in the last few years. And that's really, if you look at SpaceX's valuation, there's almost like no money in actually launching rockets, even when you do it SpaceX style, which is pretty cheap and fast. All the money's in satellites, data, communication. So SpaceX's value is like totally tied up in Starlink. I think there's like all this added complexity in business to the mission. But at the same time, it's hard to, like, if you don't follow space super close, it is like hard to convey how far ahead. This is like not SpaceX fanboy talk. This is just legit. I mean, they're so far ahead of the commercial space players, but then all the nations that have been doing this for decades, it's kind of the craziest business and tech story I can fathom. Then, beyond SpaceX, yes, Elon has changed and gotten more complicated and sort of let himself loose. I get a little sad. To me, Twitter seems like a big distraction. He seems super worried about AI. I always kind of thought he would slowly wind things down and just be doing SpaceX all the time.
When you look at SpaceX itself, you mentioned just how far ahead they are. To me, it's almost like the operating system of space now, right? Is everyone's got to go through SpaceX for the most part. Now, in this book, you cover a bunch of startups that want to change that. They want to have smaller rockets or more, takeoffs and kind of all these different strategies. But is it still true that SpaceX really is, the big boy in the room? And if you want to go to space with a satellite or some sort of cargo, you're going on a SpaceX rocket?
Yeah, I mean, to a large degree, look, Europe has rockets, Russia has rockets, although not many people can use them now. China, India, they can all get you to space, just not nearly as frequently as SpaceX can, and usually not as cheaply. Your point is right. I mean, there's dozens of rocket companies, so people would kind of be like, why? I mean, SpaceX flies, there's different classes, right? There's kind of large, medium, and small rockets, and SpaceX is pretty dominant in the large part. There's a huge thesis, which I get into in gory detail in the book, that, look, we have about like 9,000 satellites orbiting the Earth now. That's been on an exponential increase the last 3 years. People think we're going to put up 100,000, 200,000 pretty quick. Not like nobody now produces enough rockets to make that happen. So if that becomes a reality, and it looks quite like it is going to, then we need a lot of rocket players, probably not dozens, but more. But SpaceX would still be the dominant player in that scenario. It's just that I think there's probably more business to go around. The other thing is just, like, if Starship works, it's such a the rocket is so massive that SpaceX would be taking like what we used to do for an entire year on one launch into orbit at a lower cost. There's a lot between here and making that happen, but that's, anyway, things could get quite dramatic. It'll be interesting to see exactly how this all plays out.